Well, Godfather, thanks for the reminder. On this day back in 2017, we lost a good one. Glenn Campbell passed away. And it's funny because the documentary you and I both watched, The Wrecking Crew, which
Yeah.
was that group of studio musicians that were outstanding and were so influential in rock and roll music. Campbell got his start as a studio musician and was involved with The Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, I was amazed to hear that. I had no idea he was that good of a musician because, I mean, his singing just overpowered all that. And
Yeah.
he didn't make a big show of his guitar playing while he sang.
That's right. But his guitar playing was terrific. And of course, Campbell, known mostly for his country music, guitarist, songwriter. He was an actor as well. But he had a long career that spanned over a long period of time. In fact, check out some of these numbers in terms of what he was able to accomplish, Godfather. He released 64 albums that spanned over 5 decades, sold 45 million records worldwide, including 12 gold albums, 4 platinum records, and 1 double platinum album. That's pretty darn good.
Wow. What more could you ask for?
I know. And I like what you told me. You said he was one of those guys when he finally came out and was big time, you didn't want to like him.
He was just too nice. You know, he just seemed like one of those guys that was a little too nice.
Yeah.
And everybody liked him. So, you know, as a kid, you figure, well, if everybody likes him, I don't like him.
I'll go against the grain on that one.
Yeah.
I'm always a little leery of people that are too nice.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are they trying to do to me right now?
Right.
Are they going to slide in and next thing you know, my lady is with them at the Sadie Hawkins dance? Yeah, worry about these things.
Well, Glenn Campbell could steal your lady, too, I'm sure, if he
There's
wanted
no question
to.
about it.
What a voice, though.
He could do it with his money. He could do it with his guitar playing, or he could serenade them.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm out. Instantly out on that one.
Any of the three would pretty much take care of anybody.
It's just pretty amazing. Think about that. We talk about songwriters all the time and how amazing it is. Like, how can they put together so many great songs? Can you imagine putting out over 64 records? Like, seriously. How do you do that? How do you do that? I don't understand. It's mind-boggling to me.
No, these people are incredible geniuses. I mean, there's just a genius about that most people don't have.
Rest in peace, Glenn Campbell.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, thanks for joining us today. It's the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad.
Yeah, welcome.
We're enjoying. It's been a hectic day here in the office.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what day it was for some reason.
I don't know how many different things I can accomplish at once, but I feel like we've already had a full day's work and the show's just beginning.
You were juggling. You were really juggling today.
Yes.
There was a lot going on.
And anytime I'm having to input data into a spreadsheet and or program to get stuff done, that's just not my ball game.
Public service announcement. If you own a company and you have an expense system so complicated that no one can figure out how to use it, then don't cry or complain when people don't file their expense reports.
I know. Justin Myers came in, and it got to a point where he's like, hey, man, if this is an issue, we can just handle it later. I'm like, no, dude, we're going to get it done now. I'm not one. When I start a project, I don't like putting it off. That stuff drives me crazy. And you know what else drives you crazy? Let me tell you what I was dealing with this morning. All right. So I noticed in my checking account there was a $40 charge, and I'm like, I don't remember that charge. I didn't approve that charge, and I didn't spend that money.
Uh-oh.
And so right away, I'm like, oh, great. Who is this company? And it's like in the description in my checking account online, it said check free score, and it had a phone number. So I Google searched the phone number, and it's some shady company that apparently gives you like your free credit score, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't subscribe to them, nor did I give them permission to subscribe. So my thought was I'll call them and solve it and then get them to credit back the money or refund the money that I did not approve. So I called this number this morning before I'm on the golf course. And of course, they have a customer service team, but they don't put me right with a human being. So instantly I'm bitter. What they do is they put you on hold for a moment, and then they come back and say, we cannot locate your account. Please input your Social Security number.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I hope you did that, Chad.
So I laughed out
Yeah.
loud. I'm like, yeah, you can
Input
suck it.
your Social
I got your
Security.
Social Security right here, and
Yeah.
I'm not giving it to you. In fact, I don't believe it's appropriate for basically anyone to ask for that unless it's a bank and you're trying to access
Right.
a loan.
And even then, Chad, the reputable people ask for the last 4 digits, not the whole number.
That's correct. So I'm very leery. In fact, when I go to the doctor's office, they always have a place there for your Social Security number. It irritates me that they put that on the paperwork. I always write in there, you don't need it and you're not going to get it. I always write that there just to say, look, I'm not giving it to you. You don't
Yeah.
need my number. So, anyways, I did not input my social number in that phone call I made. So it's probably about hole number 17. And I'm like, I finally get the call back from my bank. And it was pretty funny because I've got her on speaker as she's solving the issue. And she's like, okay, I'm going to send over this DocuSign. And I felt pretty cool because I propped the phone up on my little cart and I'm listening to her. And I pulled out my 50 degree and then I hit a nice little 95-yard shot within 5 feet of the pin. Walked up as she's still talking, I one putted, and I was like, good. And then right when she's solving all my issues, I felt pretty good about that.
That's multitasking at its best.
So that was pretty funny. I don't like those type of distractions, but if someone's accessing my bank account, I feel like that takes priority over locking in on the golf course.
Yeah.
So, but that doesn't stop there. Here's what really perturbs me. Just less than 2 weeks ago, on the same day, I had 2 fraudulent charges on my 2 credit cards. And of course, anytime there's a fraudulent charge, I get this fraud alert. Did you approve these charges? Well, no, I don't even know what they're about. So, of course, the credit card companies have to cancel the cards and send you new ones, just like what happened today with my check card. So now I've got to wait 10 business days to get my check card, which is it's so valuable because that's how I get cash. That's how I pay for this and that, whatever. It's irritating. But I got the cards finally and got everything reset and all the stuff that I have auto paid on the card, I got it all set up. But the part that bothers me is I was trying to think, how did this happen with all these cards at the same time? And then right in the back of my mind is like, wait a second, good old Ticketmaster. I got a letter in the mail a couple of weeks ago from Ticketmaster. We're sorry to inform you that we've had a data breach and your personal information may have been compromised or accessed. And of course, that ticks me off because it's like I have all my information. The least they can do as a massive company that has intense amounts of money is be able to have some type of server that no one can penetrate. Is that too much to ask? You guys have these convenience fees, which aren't very convenient.
I know.
You charge an arm and a leg for me to go to the events I want to go to, but you can't protect my data.
Yeah,
So-
it's just, I'm sorry, but to inform you, no, you got to be better than sorry. You
Yeah.
got to do something about it.
So Ticketmaster's they got me all the way left, right, forward, and center.
Yeah.
They irritate me when I buy tickets because they're all their fees. Then they irritate me with the letter I get in the mail that my data was compromised. And then I'm having to deal with these other issues with my check card with my lady at the bank today because my data was breached. And now I've got some company charging up my check card for a subscription that I didn't authorize or pay for. So thanks a lot, Ticketmaster. They always find a way to screw you. One way or another, Ticketmaster is going to get over. And I
Yeah.
got to use them because they're the ones that have access to most of the events.
I know. I hate it when that stuff happens because then all those auto pay things, I can't even remember which ones are on which card and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
You got to change everything.
I know. And let me give you a story here. So I always thought my dad was ridiculous because he has a little black book where he handwrites in every website, every password, anything he could possibly need is in that black book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Dad, you got a phone. What's all this stuff for? You ever heard of Google Chrome? It like memorizes your, login and password. Well, after having cards canceled and having to go through that process, guess what I have now? A little black book to make sure I don't forget which is which and what goes where and everything. I didn't ask for any of that, but because there are people out there trying to access our data, I don't have a choice. That's the world we live in today. So what's the moral of this story? Ticketmaster sucks, but you have to use them because they have most of the inventory to the events you want to go to.
Yeah, it's pretty much a monopoly. There's a few other companies,
100%.
but they've got most of the business.
Now, in brighter news, I shot a 78 today,
Oh,
and that
back in the 70s.
so 5 straight rounds of in the 70s, including my
Wow.
PR. So I've never done that before. So I'm on fire right now.
What's your handicap now?
8.2. 8.2 after today. I don't know how long this wave's going to last. I'm just going to ride it until it comes to an end. But this started today with perfect drive off tee box number 1, perfect second shot with 200 yards. I chipped up within 7 feet of the pin. I'm thinking, I'm going to get a birdie. 4-putted the first green because it was drier and a little bit faster today, and it didn't match up with the practice green. So I'm about to have an aneurysm walking over to the second hole. And then I remember what you said. No, 17 holes to go. Just take a breath.
Yeah.
So I did that and then proceeded throughout the round, and everything was fine.
That's
There
nice.
you go.
You can post a score like that after a 4-putt. That's great.
Yeah, so I ended the round with 33 putts. The good thing is I was able to make some big-time putts later in the round, so it all balanced out. But that's where we're at.
How many birdies today?
2.
Nice.
Yeah, 2 birdies. And I had to deal with my bank at the same time that I was hitting the 50-degree. There you
That's
go.
That's very
I was
impressive.
multitasking this morning, and I was multitasking this afternoon.
There's no spot on the scorecard to note that the fact that you were dealing with your bank while you made a nice chip.
No, and what I liked is I played with this nice guy who joined our group, Dave. He looked over at me, he goes, "That's a pretty nice chip based on everything I heard going on there." I said, "Thank you." Little tip of the cap there.
Yeah.
All right, Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. Hope you're enjoying your afternoon. We certainly are. When we come back, can we please stop with anyone that says, "Oh, I think this year's Team USA might be as good as the Dream Team back in '92." It's total nonsense, Godfather. We knew it was when we heard that crap coming out from the clutch agents.
The Dream Team would have beaten Serbia by 50.
Team USA survives. They'll advance to meet France in the gold medal game. We got some thoughts on that. And then why on earth is this person going back to Corvallis? We'll deal with that as well. You got the Rip City Drive. It's funny we were talking about the data breach and people being able to access our information, which is a big concern now with identity theft and all the information we have of our own out there and the internet and the way people can access it. I was talking with the guy I was playing this morning on the course, and he was laughing about it because he said back in the day, his dad, when he worked with the state, his badge, like his employee badge, it literally had their social security number on the badge.
Oh,
And of course, that was back before computers, so no
right.
one was worried about that kind of stuff. But that shows you how things have changed. No one's ever going to walk around on anything with their social number displayed. It seems insane in today's world for sure.
Yeah, in those days, what would you do with somebody's? You remember, you actually used to have the card, the Social Security card. I don't have one anymore. You can still pick up a replacement, but I haven't had one in years.
I did. I went in and got a replacement, and I carry it in my wallet, which I know is probably a dumb idea. But the reason why I got it was because I needed to get a passport.
Yeah.
And so I went in, and that's an adventure. If you want to have fun one day, you got some hours to burn, go to the Social Security Administration. That building's fun, and I can tell, very similar to the DMV, that the people there care about their jobs. They enjoy what they do. So I encourage you to check it out. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's talk about Team USA for just a moment. Down 17, Godfather. They come all the way back and get the win over Serbia by 4 points, 95-91. In the game, they were led by Joel Embiid, who showed up and dropped 19 points, had 4 boards. He was 8 of 11. LeBron, 16 points on 6 of 9 shooting. And then it was Steph Curry, the meal ticket, 9 of 14 from downtown, had 36 points, 8 assists. He was 12 of 19 from the field. They really needed him to step it up, and he came up with big shots down the stretch.
Yeah, they plugged Kevin Durant in the fourth quarter, and he was terrific down the stretch. Him and Steph made big shots. So did KD. But Kevin Durant was picking up guards full quarter, almost the whole fourth quarter. He's guarding guys full court. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about his integrity as a player. He wants to win games, and he'll do what's necessary.
That's very nice. Boy, all the talk going into the Olympics, and I think a lot of it was just, fans being flamed by clutch agents. I really believe this.
Yeah.
That somehow this year's Team USA was better than the original Dream Team back in '92.
It's all about LeBron trying to steal all that stuff from Jordan.
That's what I believe. I think the majority of
Sure.
people believe that, and the main people pushing the narrative are clutch clients. So that's right there, an eyebrow raiser. But no one in their right mind who grew up with the Dream Team and saw Bird, Magic, MJ, Scotty, and the rest of that group play, it is the best team ever assembled. It was then, and it always will be. There'll never be a collection of players quite like that on one team. So it bothered me that people would come out trying to argue that this year's team was better. And I'm not saying they're not good. The Americans are great, but that Dream Team in '92 was a special group, a one-time collaboration of some of the greatest basketball players we have ever seen. So never listen to anyone trying to tell you that this team's better than that team, because that was a special group. And today was an example of that. Team USA got the win, which is great, but they shouldn't have been down by 17. They should have clobbered Serbia. The big advantage the Americans have, Godfather, is their depth. They go to the bench and they're putting out, 5 more, blue chippers, and the other, teams that are in this competition don't have that type of depth.
Yeah. Yeah. The starting lineup on that 92 Dream Team, if I recall, was up front, Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing, and Charles Barkley. In the backcourt, let's go with Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Come on, folks. Come on. Kidding me? And the leading scorer for that team throughout was Charles Barkley. Not the other guys. Barkley, because he was working the board so hard and running the floor so hard, he led everybody in scoring.
Yeah, it was impressive.
And those guys played hard every game. They wanted no question about who owned basketball.
No question. And that was at a point where Magic and Larry were past their prime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They weren't at their best, but they were still terrific basketball players. But Barkley, Scotty, MJ, Karl Malone, John Stockton, the rest, they were right in the middle of their prime years of basketball. That was a special group. So I find it to be blasphemous to suggest that this team's better than that team. It drives me insane. So they now move on to meet France, and they've got Wemby. They've got the home court advantage. Mm-hmm. Do you think the Americans will have any issue in the gold medal game?
I think they'll have an issue because they have issues. They aren't comfortable with the FIBA style. They especially aren't comfortable, Chad, where they can't grift fouls from the referees the way they do in the NBA.
They're so used to flopping and
Yeah,
complaining and getting their way.
absolutely. And they cry and they moan, and so they get a few calls. It doesn't work that way with the FIBA officials. They just ignore them. Most of them don't speak the same language, so they don't even know what they're being told by the players. So, yeah, I think they'll struggle. The French crowd is pretty good. I mean, today they were really rough on the Germany team. And Wemby, you know who's playing really well and not scoring a lick is Nick Batum. He's guarding everybody for them. He's pretty tough.
Isn't it amazing the career that guy's carved out for
God,
himself?
Chad, it's amazing. He came here as an 18-year-old who flopped in summer league and then became a starter almost immediately and has been good ever since.
I'll never forget what it was like watching him in the preseason following the summer league where he was a disaster.
Yeah.
You knew right away, like, oh, that guy should be playing. It was night and day different preseason from the summer league. He's
Yeah.
great.
And they originally thought, this is a guy we're going to draft and stash. We're going to draft him now. He's young. We're going to send him back to France and let him play there for a year. You couldn't keep him off this team, though.
No, length. He can do everything. He's one of those quintessential 3-and-D type guys.
Guards every position.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Just seeing Wemby get a chance to go out there and compete against Team USA is going to be fun because Wemby's, well, he's must-see television. He's terrific.
Mhm.
But again, with that said, Team USA should win the basketball game.
Absolutely. No question.
They got the talent. They've got the depth. They got the coaching. They've got everything that they could possibly want. No excuses. You got to go out there and get gold. Probably don't want to jack around like you did today against Serbia and get down by 17 when you're going to be facing France in their building. You don't want that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and Embiid, I don't know if he can handle it. He's going to get booed every time he touches the ball because that's been the way it's been the whole time. They're very resentful that he chose to get citizenship in the U.S. and play for us.
One thing that's nice about these other countries, and we see it in the team sports like basketball, I see it in individual sports, the nationalism that they're willing to put on display, their love of country, I like that. Now, if you come out as a nationalist with great love for U.S. of A., you're almost considered like a weirdo. And I don't like that. It bothers me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like, do you not understand that you live in one of the greatest countries in the history of civilization? Are you aware of that? Because that's the reality. You do. No matter what anyone says, USA has been pretty good.
But people take advantage of their freedoms to complain about stuff that
It's nonsense, Godfather.
they just don't think is right, even though in many cases it is.
All right. You got to explain this to me because I do not understand. But Jade Carey has come out and has said that she's going to return to Corvallis, go back to Oregon State. Why would you do that?
She came back to this country, and the first place she went was Corvallis. She was down there yesterday. They had a great celebration for her, and she announced she's coming back, and she'll compete for the gymnastics team her senior season. And I don't know what to say about it. It might be that getting a college degree is very important to her. I don't know if she has her degree yet. I assume she does not because it's really hard for athletes to get it in the required 4 years. But she's going to come back and compete. That's big for Oregon State. They'll get some crowds for their gymnastics meets.
All right. It will be her final year of eligibility. And she said, quote, "This community is more than I could have ever asked for. And so I can just thank everyone enough for always being there. It definitely doesn't go unnoticed, and I appreciate it a lot." Maybe she's like Andrew Luck or some of these rare breeds that just like the area, like the college experience, want to continue with their education and be a part of that. It's so weird because we're so driven by money and access to this or that or whatever. When we find the rare bird that wants to focus on education and being a part of the college experience and being a part of a community, that we find that a little bit weird. I guess it's because not too many people take that path now, but she wants to come back.
Yeah. She will be a very big fish in a small pond, you know.
Yeah.
Corvallis, The greatest college town in the country, right? Isn't that what they say?
Well, I think the they who said that was probably Oregon State, and
Well, the
somehow they're
people
able to
who
put
live
that out
there.
there.
Yeah, it's the people who live there
Yeah,
say
but they
that.
called it the number one college town in the Pac-12.
Well, there is no Pac-12, so it's got to be expanded now.
No, but they said it when the Pac-12 still
I know.
existed.
I know.
And I've been to basically every Pac-12 town. It's not the best Pac-12 town. It's just not. I've been to all of them. It's not.
What do you think is?
That's a good question. Well, my favorite is Tempe because of the layout and the setup down there in the desert. I love that. I love Tempe. I love Tucson. Boulder's pretty special. You know, when it was part of the Pac-12, that whole community and the scenery and stuff is spectacular. My whole point is that there were probably 7, 8, or 9 places better than Corvallis. That's all. That's all I'm saying. And then you have some areas that are just a little bit different, like Stanford. Like Palo Alto is one of the most impressive areas I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The affluence, the buildings, the structures, the scenery. That is an incredible area.
Yeah.
It requires a lot of money to live there, but I don't consider that a great college town. It's just different down there.
Yeah.
Berkeley is a unique spot, very unique spot,
Yeah.
very unique. I've never seen anything like it, but I don't consider that a great,
No.
a college town because it's so different and bizarre, right?
Yeah.
Really weird. Eugene has got to be up there at the top because you have access to great natural resources. You have great outdoor activities down there. It's a great college town. Eugene is, whether you like the Ducks or not, you can't deny that Eugene is a great community. That is a really good town, and it's set up nicely for the school. Outside of that, I don't consider UCLA a great town because you're stuck right in the middle of Los Angeles. The campus there with UCLA is fabulous, but a lot of traffic, a lot of mess down there. So it's usually one of those schools. Eugene, Seattle's the same way. UW is nice, but the Seattle area with the traffic and stuff. Campus is beautiful, but a little bit sticky. So I like the smaller towns. What would be your favorite? Because you've been to basically everywhere else too.
No, I've been to all of them. I like the two in Arizona a lot. I'm not as big a fan. I probably like you. Tucson, it's okay. It's all right. Tempe, though, is very special.
Yeah, Tempe. For those, and a lot of Duck fans, Beaver fans over the years have traveled down there. Shacker likes going down there. It's that when they built that town, even the downtown area, it's all set up on a grid. Getting around downtown Phoenix, Tempe, it's very easy.
Yeah.
And like you and I have talked about before, the best sports complexes are the ones that are set up around a lot of hotels, a lot of restaurants, a lot of retail area where you can check into your room and not have to get an Uber or anything like that. You can just walk to wherever you want to go.
Don't need a rental car. Take a cab to your hotel, and that's it.
And if you have nice weather, I instantly put you ahead of other places on the map.
Yeah. Well, I do too. It's a part of it.
When I go to Tempe, I don't have to worry about rain.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice. Now, when I go down there at the end of August for their first football game, it's going to be a little bit steamy.
I was going to say sunblock is needed.
It's going to be like 115 degrees at kickoff at 7:30. Summer times are rough, but that's okay. I like dry weather. It's nice.
Yeah.
But I admire her for going back. She's doing what she wants to do.
Yeah, it's great, I think. And must be an old-fashioned kind of person. She's comfortable there. She likes it there. More power to her.
All right. So your final take on Team USA that they'll beat France and get gold?
Well, yeah, if I were betting money, Chad, I'd have to go with them. I don't know what the spread's going to be, but yeah, they're the favorites. They should win. They have the most talent, but they could lose. They could lose. I've been saying that the whole time, and they haven't yet. So I might prove to be wrong, but I've said all along they could lose. So they can be had.
They're literally just getting the job done with just sheer talent.
They are. And I said from the start, what could beat them is three-point shooting. And the Serbia team almost pulled that off, but they couldn't sustain throughout the whole game. And yeah, to be frank, Jokic did not have his best game. He missed shots he would normally make in the course of an NBA season when he's probably practicing more. I don't know how much he practiced for this, but they needed to shoot the they needed to shoot the ball a little bit better.
Yeah.
You got to have not just a good three-point shooting game. You have to have probably a great three-point shooting game.
Yeah, in the game today, the difference was shooting. The Team USA shot 57% from the field, Godfather, 50% from downtown, 16 of 32.
Yeah.
Serbia made 15 threes, but on 39 attempts, so they were 38%,
Yeah.
and they shot just 46% from the field.
Do you have Joker's line there, Chad?
Yeah, 0 for 6 from downtown.
Ooh.
He was 7 of 17 from the field, 17 points, 11 assists, 5 boards,
Yeah.
but 0 of 6 from 3.
Yeah, see, they can't live with that. That won't work. If he has this normal game, they win the game.
But everywhere else for Team USA, LeBron from downtown, 2 of 4, Embiid, 2 of 3, Booker, 1 of 2, Holiday, 1 of 2, Curry, 9 of 14, freak, Kevin Durant, 1 of 2, and then you had a few guys who missed a couple of shots. White, Edwards, both 0 of 2. Davis did not take a 3. Adebayo was 0 for 1, and then Kevin Durant 1 for 2.
Did Tatum sit this one?
Let's see here.
Because
He is not on the list, so I don't think Tatum got in.
yeah, I don't think he played.
But
Criticism coming your way, Kerr.
Yeah. But couldn't you make the argument that now Tatum, being younger and in his prime, might be more effective than Kevin Durant or LeBron, who are aging?
I wouldn't say that about Durant. He's just too good. I would say it about LeBron. LeBron sucks the air out of him a little bit because he pounds the ball so much and keeps it away from other guys. They move the ball better when he's not on the floor. And, of course, the LeBron lovers are going to kill me for that, but it's true.
LeBron had a triple-double today, 16 points,
Sure.
12 boards, 10 assists.
Mhm.
32 minutes of action, 6 of 9 from the floor, 2 of 4 from downtown. Curry might be their most important player this time around.
Yeah, because they need threes, and he makes them. That line for him is he probably shoot 55% from that line all season. If you give it to him.
I've seen shooters, but Steph Curry's consistency to be a career, 40+% shooter from downtown is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, he's the best there ever was in terms of shooting. I don't think there's ever been another shooter like him.
I know. I swore up and down that Larry Bird was the best shooter I'd ever seen and that no one would ever take that mantle, but I give the nod to Curry because he's too good.
Yeah, part of that, though, Chad, is his license to shoot is unlimited. Whereas, when he's taken all those threes, had Bird played in an era where you'd let him shoot 15 to 20 threes a game, he would have been real good from three.
There's no question. And he had a couple years where he was 40+% too.
Yeah, but, just not for volume, and the more you shoot, the better you get, really. Curry is so comfortable from way, way out.
Yeah. And on the catch and shoot, the release, it's so quick.
And Curry's lucky, He came into the league. He played for coaches who put up with that because I don't care how good he was from there. There's a lot of old school NBA coaches who would say that's not a good shot. Don't shoot it. They just wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't want him to do it.
And now coaches are like, you should probably take that shot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the world changes,
Yeah.
It certainly changes.
You get to see a little bit of prime Curry. Like, yeah, whenever you feel comfortable, why don't you just let that fly?
Go for it.
That's got to be a good feeling as a player when the coach is like, look, man, if you feel like you need to take the shot, feel free. Not too many coaches say that to too many players.
I sit back and think about how afraid I was to shoot the ball when I played. And it's like if you didn't make it, then you wouldn't shoot again.
All right. Someone put out a great post bidding a nice farewell to the old urinal troughs at the Coliseum down in Oakland.
Alameda Coliseum.
And it reminds me of a few poor memories that I have. Also, we got to talk about the White Sox. Why now, Godfather?
Isn't that a classic?
Yeah, they're idiots. Reinsdorf doesn't care. You wait till you find out what they did.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. All right. I love this tweet, Godfather, where it says, and this came out from White Sox Dave. It was an honor and a privilege to pee in the troughs at Oakland Coliseum. And he put out a picture of the old
The
troughs.
trough.
And for you women out there who don't know what this is, or you younger individuals who have never experienced a trough, how would you describe it when you walk into the men's restroom at old stadiums like the Kingdome? It's like a giant sink where the guys are just lined up next to each other, peeing in the same place.
Yeah, it's you notice the aroma first, I think, with the open water running through on a trough, and
It's horrendous.
you're asked to urinate in this trough alongside other human beings holding their hoses out to urinate.
Yeah, everyone's got their crank in their hand, and guys are
Yeah.
jammed in shoulder to shoulder, and you're having to pee in the same place, crossing streams, and the whole deal. My first experience with the trough back in '89, me and my buddy Jeff were allowed to ride the train from Vancouver up to Seattle at King Station, Broncos and Seahawks. My first ever Bronco game at Kingdome. Great experience. The Broncos won in overtime 24-21. Thanks to Norm Johnson for missing a key field goal at the end of regulation. I thank him for that because the Broncos got the win. But I'm wearing my Bronco colors, right? I'm 14 years old, and I walk up to the trough, and I'm surrounded by Seahawks fans, and before I know it, I've got the Elway, Elway, that whole chant going on, and I've got these older guys like grabbing my shoulders and just messing with me as I'm trying to
Yeah.
pee. That's too much for a 14-year-old to handle.
I remember being about 6 years old and not being tall enough to reach the trough.
You had to arc it over the top.
No, I remember my dad lifting me up, and I stood on the lip of the trough. I mean, what choice did I have? There's no way I could stand far enough away to arc it.
Yeah.
And, it was just like a 3-point shot at that. I was too young for that shot. So, yeah, I mean, that was insane. And some of them probably still exist some places.
Some of the worst experiences of my life came from restrooms like that at the Kingdome or being in high school. And for some reason, in the boys' bathroom, they took the doors off the stalls. So if you needed to grow a tail at school, you were never going to do it because you weren't going to take the risk of
No.
growing a tail and someone walking and be like, "Hey, what's up, doing?" Just the thought of that. No. I mean, you could be you could be prairie dogging it, and there's no way you're going to take the risk because you don't want someone to see you eye to eye. Like there are times in life where I don't want eye contact. I don't want anyone around.
Yeah.
I don't need anyone to know what's going on. It's just like that's me. That's Chad time. That I don't want anyone around. No one.
I've been times in my life where it was such a pleasure to go into that stall and close the door and not have anybody around me. I can remember in school where I just, for some reason, was frustrated. I was tired of the whole day. And it's like, I don't even know if I had to go. But I went in there, I closed that door, and it was like, wow, 5 minutes of peace and quiet.
Peace
Nobody
and
can
quiet.
bother me.
That's why I get so irritated when I'm at the airport and you walk in, empty restroom, and there's a line of like 12 to 15 stalls, urinals. And then sure enough, some freaking
where
idiot
you're
walks in.
Right next to you.
And which
right?
one do you think he chooses?
Right next to you, right?
Right next to me. And I'm at the point now where I'm like,
What are you
I'll say
doing?
something. I'll be like, dude, you got your choice of
Yeah.
anyone you want, and you come right next to me. Like, I have to say something now because I think it's that's just a violation of some code. I don't know what the code is called, but you can't do that.
Well, it's privacy, really.
Yeah, give me some breathing room, man.
As long as there's room to give somebody privacy, you should do it.
Yeah, it's embarrassing enough. It's like I'm out here, I got my pants down, I'm trying to do this, and you're going to stand right next to me?
Mm-hmm.
No thanks, man. So maybe I've been wrong about the red-faced owner for the Clippers all these years, the red-faced guy, Ballmer.
Yeah.
Maybe I can't wait to go to a Clippers game because he's got bathrooms. And
Yeah.
my guess is they're not going to be troughs. They'll be like individual urinals with that nice little – I like the partition they put in where no one can just look over.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to look left or look right and violate someone by accident either. So I just look straight ahead. And if there's a lot of people around, I get stage fright sometimes. I have to close my eyes and think about something peaceful so I can get the flow going. I hate the whole process.
I think I've told you about my World Series experience in Old Yankee Stadium. We were in the auxiliary press box down the left field line. Go in. We have to use the public bathroom, of course. and there's guys doing play-by-play on the urinals. All right, the guy in the blue shirt, he's like, oh, boy, he needed to go bad. It was, seriously, that was what was going on, and it was the most embarrassing thing ever. I just turned around and left. I thought, I'll just go later.
All right. One quick question. Why did the Chicago White Sox wait until after they broke the streak with 21 straight losses to fire manager Grifol?
I guess they just didn't want to win. You fire the guy after he wins?
Maybe they should have done it after like 18 or 19 in a row. But after they get the win, then you decide to bust a cap in him? What's up with that?
It's like, well, he worked hard at it. We wanted to let him win one game before we fired him, I guess. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't explain that.
All right, good. I'm glad we had this discussion, though.
Thank you.
Troughs should be outlawed.
Yes.
That's the worst, too. Here, let me help you up. Your dad had to prop you up so you could have your feet.
Yeah. But that's got to be a health hazard of some sort, too, I would think.
Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%. All right, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit of Jim Harbaugh. Is the guy a fraud? Like, don't get me wrong, I love Harbaugh, but is he fraudulent with the way he operates?
Might be.
Might be. We'll get to that. All right, Godfather. Sean and Sandy chimes in. He goes, "Don't tell me you were one of those weirdo kids that wouldn't dress down for gym class, Brother Chad." I dressed down for gym class.
Absolutely.
The locker room was an uncomfortable environment back during that time that I can recall
Hmm.
because kids were brutal to one another.
Yes.
And
they
I
were.
was a late bloomer because my parents thought it would be a great idea to put me in school when I just turned 5. I'm an August baby. Oh, yeah, let's roll them into school right at 5. Yeah, thanks a lot because I developed later than all the other kids. Idiots.
Hit puberty later, same as me. I was a November guy going in a year early,
Yeah.
basically.
I wanted hair on my armpits so bad because I thought that that would make me some type of a man or something because all these other kids around me were developing faster. So that trauma, no joke, is actually the reason why I waited. Both my kids, Kaylee and Isaac, born in February, I waited until the following year to put them in school. So
Yeah.
they were always older and bigger as they continued through school because I thought that'd be an advantage. That was because of the scarring on myself.
Yeah.
I thought, no,
get
I
it.
don't need to do that.
I understand.
But the one thing about the gym experience that was bad is that I wouldn't take my clothes home to wash them on a regular basis. I'd wear the same shirt and shorts, for gym class or whatever. Well, when you put them in the locker and they stay there over an extended period of time, you sweat, you take it off, you put it in there. After a few months, you take the shirt out, and it's almost like a piece of cardboard because it's stiff. And that's when it was kind of like, okay, I got to get this washed.
Yeah, as I recall, we had some real mandates about taking those things home once a week and getting them washed.
Foul smell in the gym,
Yeah.
in the locker room there at the school. What can you do? All right, real quick, baseball topic. What are the Padres doing? I thought the
They're
NL
winning.
West was supposed to be locked up a long time ago, and all of a sudden they're 2.5 games out.
Yeah, the Dodgers have let them come back in the race, basically. And it's not the Dodgers' fault with all the injuries and everything. It's been really difficult for them. And then they had to lose Freddie Freeman all that time with his son's problems. They were kind of playing with one hand behind their back for a while.
They're going to be okay. They just need to be healthy. I think for the Dodgers, just get everyone healthy come postseason time. And that's pretty much the plan for any of these baseball teams because it's hard to win, especially when you're going up against the best competition with a couple of key hitters out, your pitching rotations in tatters because of the injuries. It's tough to survive like that, Dwight.
Yeah, I think the big thing is they lost so many pitchers to arm injuries.
That's been the key.
Yeah.
Mookie Betts being out doesn't help.
Well, I was gonna
Freeman was
say-
out for an extended period of time.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Mookie Betts is a very valuable player to them.
Kershaw has looked pretty good since he's returned. He's looked pretty good. I wasn't sure what to expect from Kershaw, but he's been pretty good since he returned. And if you can get him along with the other arms that they have, they just got to get their guys healthy. Glass now hasn't been healthy for a while, too. He's been out.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been, and they've had guys pitchers especially on the injured list all season. Yamamoto, he was pitching great, and they lost him. It's been too bad.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. But the Dodgers now in a bit of a race with the Padres. All right, take a listen to this. Jim Harbaugh, well, in case you missed it, he does not apologize for anything.
Never lie, never cheat, never steal. I was raised with that lesson. If you stumble, you apologize, and you make it right. Today, I do not apologize. I did not participate, was not aware.
There you go. Jim Harbaugh did not participate, was not aware, and oh, by the way, he does not like to categorize.
There's no injury there. For Sean.
It's not something that's well, he wanted to keep playing, so
Little thing.
Huh?
It's a little thing.
I don't know. I'm not going to categorize it. Categorize it. What?
That's what Jim Harbaugh is all about.
I thought at first he said he wasn't going to categorize it.
My question about Jim, look, the NCAA came out, gave him the 4-year, show cause, so he can't go and coach college football. Not that that's a problem because he's not going back to college football. He went to Michigan, his alma mater, won a championship. He's not going back. He's an NFL coach. But he got hammered not because of some egregious violation. I think he bought basically a meal, a cheeseburger.
Yeah, it was during the COVID blackout period, supposedly.
Yep. So it's not like it's a big problem. The reason why the NCAA was so upset with him is because he lied to him. He lied. And not only did he lie, but he's been defiant in the face of the NCAA throughout the entire process. Now, I would be too, because I know, like he does, that the NCAA is a joke. They have no power, no control, and they're a useless body that pretends to be something that they're not. It's a joke, and their investigations take way too long. And by the time they hand down punishment, the violators are long gone out of town. That's how it goes down. But what I wonder about Jim Harbaugh, he professes to be a man of faith, and he's big on family. There's a lot of things that he says that he stands for that I'm totally down with. But when you see him come out and just that defiant, lying, and we know that he was involved with the Connor Stallions deal because, as we pointed out, head coaches like that who are control freaks, they know everything that's going on with their program. Mm-hmm. So for him to pretend like he didn't know about it, you may not want to come out and admit it, but we all know that he knew what was going on. There's no way they'd run an operation like that without running it by him first. So, of course, he knew.
Yeah.
He's not a dum-dum. He's in control of everything. He knows everything about his football team, his players, their likes, their dislikes, what they're doing, everything. That's what coaches like this do. So when I hear him come out and say like that, I just wonder if, like, maybe some of his players or people that are around him look at that and they're like, come on, man.
Yeah.
He almost feels like a bit fraudulent in some of the speak. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, and I even go back to the one he got this last penalty for, Chad. It was nothing. If he would have admitted to it right off the bat, nothing would have really happened. But he chose to take the other route and deny. Well, to me, if they charge you with something like that, and then they end up making the penalty so big, they can prove that thing backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
They've got to have receipts or pictures or testimony from the people you took out to eat.
Yeah.
All of that stuff must be all lined up in case he wants to sue them or something.
Yeah.
I cannot believe they can't back up that charge.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of Harbaugh, and I think he's a brilliant football coach and a football mind, and he's very entertaining to listen to. What I'm curious about, especially now that he's coaching and back in the NFL with grown men, do they care whether or not he's a fraud when it comes to that type of activity? As long as he can help them win football games, is that all that matters? And they'll look past all that other nonsense?
Yeah, it's all about coaching now. It's like, can we win games? These are professional people, and it's all about, can he help us win? The moment they think he can't help them win, the guy's a fraud.
Yeah.
But until then.
That's right. Are we going to win, and am I going to be in a position to put up the numbers necessary to make more money?
Yeah.
And outside of that, if Jim wants to put on a sideshow with this, that, or whatever, they don't care. All right, then it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. That's one of the reasons he's in the pros. He doesn't have to recruit anymore. He doesn't have to worry about stupid NCAA rules. He just goes about his business and does what he wants.
He feels like a guy that might try to pull a Belichick and record somebody's practice.
Oh, yeah. He is a guy that wants to win so bad, just like Belichick. He will do anything that he has to do.
Yes.
Anything.
He just needs to find another Connor Stallions, another guy that loves the Chargers, that's willing to do anything for the franchise and go out and sneak around and try to record NFL signs. Go find that guy. Who's the next Connor Stallions?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just weird. These coaches, they all kill me, man, because they're so good at speaking. They feel like politicians. Mm-hmm. They're so good with their tongue and the way they communicate, where I'm like, wait a second, is he pulling one over on me? That's what it feels. They're too good.
Yeah. Silver tongue orators.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, so we have a lady in the office whose son is going to Oregon State, offensive lineman, recruited by the Beavs, also visited Oregon, but ended up going to Oregon State. And she said that when she was in the office speaking with Coach Bray, first-time head coach, that she felt sorry for him because she knew that he was not comfortable with all the questions that she had. So she kind of laid off a little bit. That you could see how uncomfortable he was through that recruiting process. But she did say that once he signed, that you could see a lot more relaxed and
less tension.
Less tension, yeah. So it just reminds you that you think you know what the head coaching job's all about until you get into that role, and then you're like, oh, this is tough.
He'll get more comfortable as he gets into it, but he's probably never been in that kind of situation before.
Yeah, so if you're a Beaver fan, don't be concerned. You're probably going to see Bray be a little bit uncomfortable with media, with questions. with that whole process. It takes time to grow into that role for most, right? Because it's a hard job.
Yeah.
Being a coordinator is great because you only have to focus on one thing, whatever you're in charge of.
Hmm.
You do what the head coach tells you to do. You focus on the defense, and then you focus on your players on the defense. But as soon as you become the head coach, you're hearing from the AD, you're hearing from boosters, you're hearing from alumni, you're dealing with the media. Like all these different things come into play all of a sudden that make coaching. Coaching is just a part of what you do as a head coach.
Yeah, you're much more a CEO than you are a coach. How many kids have we talked to, college football players, who said, "Oh, yeah, I was really close with my position coach, head coach. I didn't have much. We didn't have a lot of contact."
Yeah. This lady also told me that with Oregon, and it's probably like this with a lot of schools, they don't want to give away the scholarships to local kids, homegrown. They want to hand those to the out-of-state kids.
Yeah.
So they try to plug you into the NIL to get your lodging, your schooling, and everything taken care of. But the tough part, like a scholarship, there's no guarantee with that because if they decide they don't need you, then they can clip you. And, of course, the housing, they want their funds paid out. They want you to pay for that for the full year, so it's a little bit dicey in how the operation works. But she did say that Oregon is like a machine in terms of how they operate because you got certain people you talk to, they got the spreadsheets. She goes, I know that they're not supposed to communicate, but there's clearly communication from the football staff right over to the collective. The whole thing is pretty dialed in terms of how the Ducks are operating.
Oh, I bet that's got to be a.
No, that makes sense though, because if you're the collective, someone has to communicate to you from the football side what players they really want you to go after and showcase the packages to.
Yeah, and theoretically, recruits aren't exactly the targets for NIL. It's supposed to be the guys who are already in school.
Well, it's both.
Yeah, I know, but theoretically, when it was fixed up, it wasn't supposed to be a recruiting aid. It was supposed to be players who are in your program who have contributed, who are,
That's what they
once
say.
they're on campus. Yeah, I know. It's totally out of hand now. It's like quarterback goes to the highest bidder.
Yeah. But wasn't that the way it was before NIL hit?
Well, there was a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was quarterback went to the highest bidder under the table.
Yeah.
Who's got the largest brown bag of cash that they're going to hand over so I can go play quarterback at their school? It's really.
But the sums of money were nothing like what they're giving away now because competition makes for all these things go higher.
Yes. And the schools with big money are spending outrageous amounts of cash to secure the talent.
I mean, I don't think anybody 10 years ago was getting $2 or $3 million to go to college.
No, these kids are making money now, big money.
Used to be $100,000 was a big deal for a kid.
And we joke about kids taking a pay cut to go to the pros, but in some cases, they're literally taking a pay cut to go to the pros.
Yeah. If you didn't get drafted in the first couple rounds,
you might want to look at going back to school.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? You probably never thought we'd see a day and time that we're in right now.
No, Chad, this is impossible stuff for somebody that's seen the whole thing.
All right, when we come back, Olympic athletes, what type of money are they making? And then on top of that, what do you get? What's the value of winning a gold medal? I've always been curious about that. What does that mean in terms of dollars? We'll tell you next here on the Rip City Drive. All right, Godfather, kind of give me the breakdown. How much do Olympians make? How much
Well,
money?
I can certainly tell you what they get for actually winning from the Olympic Committee, which is kind of interesting. I never knew if they even got paid when they handed them a gold medal. But, obviously you do get something from the U.S. Olympic Committee and even the Paralympic Committee. The rewards to their athletes are the same. If you win a gold medal, they give you $37,500. That's what you get. That's what you get from the Olympic Committee. Now, side deals and commercial deals, all that's separate. If you win the silver medal, you get 22.5, and a bronze medalist gets 15,000. So, I mean, that's okay. It's not chump change, but certainly the big winners, and you talk about multiple gold medal winners like the swimmer from France this year, they have an agent and they immediately go out. When you win that fifth medal, that guy's going to have to hit the streets 30 minutes later with all kinds of proposals to different companies to get you to be a spokesperson, an endorser, or whatever, make appearances, all those things that Olympians can do. And you're pros now, so you don't have any rules on what you can or can't do.
Well, I did see in the report that you sent over that Noah Lyles, who won gold on Sunday, he's already looking to get his own shoe, right? He's trying to jump right into that endorsement.
Yeah. He's trying. I don't know. I would think if he doesn't have a deal by now, I would be surprised if he got one. And they're not, times have changed a little with the shoe companies. They're not just giving those shoes out to anybody, that signature shoe.
What sports do you think play well with the rest of the country in terms of a company looking at someone saying, that's someone we want to partner with? I remember when I was younger, Mary Lou Retton was kind of the big deal, right? She was a big-time Olympian. She was cute. She appealed to the masses.
Great smile.
Great smile. I remember people like that. Obviously, Michael Phelps has won so many gold medals that he's such a superstar and one of the greatest athletes of our time that it would make sense because when I think of Michael Phelps, I think of greatness.
Yeah. He's done very well. Simone Biles is doing very well, has really for quite a while now. She's, again, got that great smile, really just the kind of person you would probably want endorsing your products. And I think the ones that do the best, Chad, are the ones that have appeal from both males and females. You see the swimmers, the gymnasts, track and field to a certain extent, depending on their event. Those are the ones that make out the best. I think when you look this year, I think somebody who might make out really well is Gabby Thomas, who won the women's, I think she won the 400 meters. She's a Harvard graduate, majored in, I think, neuroscience and world health. And she is already on her way to all kinds of big things in the healthcare industry. I think she could use the money for some of her projects she's trying to work out. And I think she'll get it because she has the appearance. Beautiful woman, great smile, a lot of charm, very intelligent. She would be a perfect spokesperson for a drug company, as they call them now, medicine company, all of that. So she'll do real well. And then I think your guy that you just mentioned, the sprinter,
Noah Lyles.
He'll do okay. Now, it's interesting. He finished third today in the 200 meters, and it was revealed afterwards that he competed with COVID. And as soon as the race was over, they put a mask on him. I think he got in a wheelchair, and they carted him out of there. I don't think he's feeling very well. And he wanted to compete, and now the rules are they treat COVID like they treat a cold or flu. If you feel like you can compete, you can compete.
Yeah, that's what they should have been doing a few years ago, so I'm glad they've got that down. Lyles appears to have good charisma. He has a good smile.
He does, yeah.
Do you think winning gold today means as much as it did, 30, 40 years ago? Have we grown accustomed to the Olympics, gold medals?
Well,
has it lost some of that flavor?
Probably has, and we should this year because we're just dominating the whole thing this year. It's a joke how far we are in front of everybody else. I mean, the Russia's not competing. That opens the door for all kinds of things for us.
Stupid Putin had to invade a country, and now we don't get a chance to compete against the best.
Yeah, and I don't think I was ever aware that if you invade a country, you can't be in the Olympics, but they're not.
Yeah, they've been held out.
Yeah.
That's too bad. I still like to defeat commies. So I feel like if you have an opportunity to take on a communist and you
Yeah.
can take him out, then I'm all for it.
Well, I'm all about every athlete in the world who has worked so hard to get there. If he qualifies, he should be there.
Yes, because the Olympics is about the best of the best of the best competing against each other. That's what
what
it's all
makes
about.
it fun. The communist countries are there. That's what, yeah, everybody's got their enemies, their villains, and all that. You want to compete against them all.
Well, I think it was, yeah, Barkley mentioned this today that, being a part of Team USA was great and winning a gold medal was awesome. He said they celebrated with champagne, but he said it was different because they were selected to be a part of that basketball team. And his point was that what they accomplished with the dream team was great, but not the same as an athlete who's competing and preparing their whole life to get to that level.
Yeah.
And having to qualify to get into a position to win a medal at the Olympics. He said that's a lot different than being selected to play on a team. And I would agree with that.
Yeah, do you even think about, some of these track and field athletes who do wonders on it's like, okay, you did great. We'll see you in 4 years. They don't have that day after day after day reinforcement on whatever it is they're endorsing the way the basketball players do. People who compete year round in a big spotlight.
Yeah. All right. Rip City Drive, 427. Dwight and Chad with you on a Thursday. That brings us to our next topic. In his conversation with Dan Patrick today, Charles Barkley said that he is coming back to TNT. He confirmed that. But now we get the backstory. They're going to continue to do the show, according to Barkley.
Yes!
Now, he was asked, what does that mean? And he said, I really don't know what it means, but it sounds like, and you and I were talking about this just yesterday, they should continue to do Inside the NBA with Shaq, Kenny, Charles, and the rest of the crew.
Even though they're not carrying the games,
Exactly.
They can still do the show.
Because the show has stood the test of time. It's so good that people, even though they're on another network watching an NBA game, they'll tune over to TNT as soon as the game's over to watch the show just like they always did.
Mm-hmm.
It makes perfect sense. So I was happy to hear that. They're going to keep doing the show. And now that they're not carrying the NBA games, it could become even better because they might be able to branch out just a little bit and add a few other topics into the show aside from just the NBA. This is the right move.
Yeah, if they can keep that same cast of characters together, that show will be every bit as successful as it was. I believe that.
Well, we don't watch them because we care what they think about the NBA games. We care about the nonsense and all the other stuff they want to talk about.
Yeah.
So
they're comedy bits,
So what this means is next year, one more year with NBA on TNT, and then after this upcoming basketball season, then the league will transfer to NBC, Disney, and Amazon. But at that time, according to Barkley, TNT will still be doing their show. And he doesn't know exactly what that looks like because they don't have all the answers right now. They're still trying to figure it out. But that tells us what's going on. They're not going to go away. They're going to be around. They'll be doing something probably very similar to what they've done right now. And the fact that they're going to be doing it on TNT means Ernie Johnson will be involved. Charles Barkley wanted to go back, he said, because he cared more about the families of the people behind the scenes. And he knew that if he stayed on board and they were going to continue to do a show, that those people would still have jobs.
Yeah.
And he's been there for so long that he's got a chance to know these people, the crew. He knew them when they had kids, and now he's had a chance to see the children grow up. So that means a lot to him.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool that he has that perspective. He goes, I'm not worried about me and Kenny and Shaq or Ernie because we're going to be fine. But these other people rely on those opportunities to work, to be able to provide for their families. So I thought that was pretty sweet. But this is the right move. The show will work.
Yeah.
You don't need the games for that show to work at all.
No.
Besides, half the games they showed sucked anyways.
I know. No, the show is standalone. It's a standalone thing. And I know at NBC at times, if the Blazers were in playoff games that weren't being carried by our network, we still did a pregame show and we did a postgame thing. It was like, we're here if you want to watch it. Now, we weren't doing that show, that's for sure. But I think It's not without precedent. It's done quite a bit over the country. You can have a pregame if you're not carrying the game. And if it's good, people are going to watch you.
Yeah, they could do that too. Barkley did say, he goes, we're not going to do a show every night. He's like, that's not happening.
Oh, it's too bad, though.
In
I'd
other
watch
words,
them every night.
I'm
They
paid
should-
to do this, but I'm not going to go in and work every night for those fools.
Yeah. I would love it if they did like an 11:30 show in competition with Kimmel and, Late Show and all that other stuff. It would be great because they could do that show.
Well, I know from my own experience, growing up for Monday Night Football, ESPN always had this Zenith Monday night matchup. And it was usually Ron Jaworski with another coach, and then you had the host. It might have been Sal Palantonio or somebody else. But they would come on for 30 minutes and just focus in on the matchup. Each team, what to look for, strengths, weaknesses, the whole deal. Like it was a straight nuts and bolts type of pregame show. I loved it, especially on nights when the Broncos were playing. Like that's something I had to check out. But that was an example of me going out of my way to watch something that was not on the network that was going to be showing the game because I was all in. And I knew when it was going to air, where it was going to be, where to find it, and I would go and watch it.
It's kind of funny, Chad, but nobody is doing that nuts and bolts pre or post game show anymore.
No.
Where they just show. I mean, I talk to people all the time. You keep talking about this pick and roll stuff. I don't understand what that is. And what is this dribble handoff stuff? And, it would be nice to have shows where they said, okay, here's the 76ers. Here's the play they run all the time. And this is what to watch for. Embiid's going to get the ball here. This is where they're going to, it would be. I think there are people out there now that like the game and know the game well enough that they might swallow a show like that.
Well, one of my big issues is that I think, in a way, some of these networks with their choice of programming, they're insulting the intelligence of the fan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because they work off the assumption that there are people out there that don't understand the intricacies of the game and therefore don't care about the details.
Right.
So they go with the fluff, all the nonsense leading up to the game. For me, when I was younger, by watching these nuts and bolts pregame shows, that's when I got to learn about what the A gap was or what a counter gap was or why you pull the guards and the tackles for this play.
Mm-hmm.
The route tree and how, it's important to run precise routes, all these different things that I learned at a young age from watching those type of shows. I didn't know it at the time. I was watching it because I needed more football in my life, but it was actually I was learning at the same time.
That's why last season I would watch Scott Van Pelt after basketball games because he would have Tim Legler on. He'd bring his iPad on, and they would do that thing where he would say, okay, here's what they ran to win the game. Boom, boom, boom. He'd draw it out for you, and you could see, whoa, that's why the guy got so open. Because when you see it in real time, you don't have time. You're just looking to see who catches the ball and who scores. But if you have a chance to break the play down and see what happens, it's magic. There's some really cool things going on in these games to get guys open shots. Why don't we get to see that stuff?
I have an issue picking up on basketball actions and different things that are being run because the game's a little bit faster. I recognize football better, and I continue to learn more. But I've been watching some instructional videos basketball-wise to get a better understanding of certain sets and different actions so I know exactly what's going on. But I'm still trying to learn that because I want to be able to see it and recognize it with my own eye instead of always leaning on somebody else.
Yeah, because you hear stuff through the course of the game. Oh, yeah, he made a flex cut there, or that was a UCLA cut. Oh, now they're in UCLA. No, they're in horns. Okay, they're in horns. Okay, well, these are certain sets that every NBA team runs, but nobody knows who they are, what they are. And it's like, show people. What is horns? It's a set every team in the league runs.
Yeah. Now, look, I'm not saying that I want inside the NBA and that crew to get nuts and bolts.
No, that's not for them.
No, that's not for them. I'm not even sure Barkley could explain what's going on the floor. Yeah. And we know there are a lot of players like that, right? I remember having conversations with Neil Lomax. And he said that on every football team he played on, and he was more specifically talking about his days with the Cardinals in the NFL, that on a football team, when you walk out on the field with your 11 players on offense, he said, you've got some guys who know exactly what the play is. You know exactly where you're supposed to go, what they know what's going on. You don't have to explain anything to them. They're technicians. Then he said you have some guys who really have no idea what the play is. They're just the one that's going to go out there and get open. And he said he had receivers like that never really knew the playbook that well, but they just knew how to read and react to what the defense was doing, and they would get open. And he said some guys would always come back to the huddle and say they were open when I know for darn sure they weren't open. But that's really what you have on any team. Some guys are dialed in completely, some guys not so much, and some guys just get me the ball. Come on, Neil, throw me the ball, I'm open. But that's the reality of it.
I've retold this story a million times. Rick Adelman used to tell the story of playing for the San Diego Clippers, and they're in the playoffs. The great Jack McMahon is their coach, really a
The
technician.
San Diego Clippers made the playoffs?
Yeah, they did. I think it was a playoff game. Anyway, they call timeout. Game's tied. 3 seconds to go, whatever. And, I mean, he's drawing up a play, and they're going through it. Now you go here. And, I mean, spend the whole time out drawing up a play, telling everybody where they're supposed to be. Buzzer rings. They walk out on the court. Elvin Hayes turns to Rick and says, "Who ball?" He didn't even know whose ball it was,
He had no
let
idea.
alone the play. Well, the kicker of the story is throw the ball into Elvin Hayes, boom, jump shot, they win the game.
Yeah.
That's how it works out.
Yeah.
You know?
And he had no idea what was going on.
He had no idea. Who ball?
But some players are so good, they don't need the whole break. Just get me the ball in my spot.
Right, get out of the way.
I'm going to go down here. You know where I'm
told
going
you
to
the
go.
Larry Bird story, yeah.
It's my favorite. I remember you telling me about that. The Blazers had a late lead with like a second or two on the clock. Timeout, and Casey Jones is leading the huddle, right?
Yeah.
What took place? Because you were sitting right there. This
Well-
is back when you got to sit right by the huddle.
Yeah, and what happened was they tried to inbound, and they couldn't get it inbound. They had to call timeout. Remember when teams did that all the time?
Yeah.
Got to use our last timeout. They come back over there. Casey starts drawing up a play again. And Larry had a towel in his hand. He just reached over, and he raced the board, and he said, "Just give me the bleeping ball." They go out there. They get him the ball. That's the time he hit the corner three and didn't even look. He just ran off the floor with his hand in the air, knew it was going in. It went in, of course, and they broke the Blazers' hearts again.
Sometimes a great player can make a coach look smart. Just give me the effing ball, coach.
Give me the ball.
Give me the ball. They did, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Boy, those days where you got to sit down close like that were just gold.
Yeah.
God, it was fun.
Now, when you heard things in the Blazers huddle or you saw conversations, was that off limits?
That was privileged, unless it was something that would reflect well on everybody there. Then you'd say, "Hey, is it okay if I use that? I heard you say it." Yeah, it's okay.
What about in the situation where Rashid's throwing a towel in somebody's face?
No, anything that happens outside that huddle is fair game. It's
Okay.
on the court. If people at courtside hear it, you hear it. Yeah, because the time I heard Cliff Robinson say something bad to PJ, I asked him about it.
What do you say to PJ?
Why did you take me out of the game, you stupid bleepity bleep?
It's a pretty good question.
I asked him about it. He said, "No, I didn't say that." I said, "No, I heard you say it." Well, no, I wasn't talking to him. I was talking to a fan.
Yeah.
I said, "So why did you ask a fan why he took you out of the game?"
He
was
wasn't going
stuck-
to give you an answer.
That was
on
when
it.
J.R. Ryder came over and said, "You're the devil on earth. You come in here causing trouble all the time." I said, "Coming from you, J.R."
That's a big compliment.
Yeah,
The devil on earth.
the devil on earth, he called me.
I like that. All right, we'll keep things rolling here. Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. All right. Major League Baseball, their umps still suck. The question is, how many
Update.
challenges? 2 or 3 may not be enough. That's definitely for sure. All right, Rip City Drive, Dwight and Chad. All right, Godfather, we've had this discussion before, and I'm going to ask you again. We're going to see, is it going to be next year where Major League Baseball will bring the electronic element into balls and strikes? Do you think we'll see it next year?
Yeah, I think that they're not going to have much choice. People are calling for it in droves now because the umpiring this season with balls and strikes has been horrific.
Yes, and you monitor this. I believe it's on X, right? Where
Yeah.
they have people who
Yeah.
they keep tabs on all the different ups to know exactly what their percentage is in terms of balls and strikes missed.
There's 4 or 5 different services that I think the one I use is Umpire Auditor.
Yeah.
They have machines that do every pitch of every game, and they can tell you after the game how many pitches that umpire missed from behind the plate.
Yep.
And that number seems to be climbing all the time. And they have these guys ranked, and it's really funny to read sometimes because some of them are just laughably bad. And they replay the missed calls, and some of them are like 3-4 inches off the plate. You know, it's like, how can you miss a pitch? Or it's right down the middle, and they call it a ball. But, yeah, they have the ABS system, automatic ball strikes, and I believe it's going to come in next year. It's going to be a challenge system. So what happens is you can challenge a ball or a strike call, and they're experimenting with it in AAA this year. The International League is using 2 challenges per game.
Per team.
Per team, right. The Pacific Coast League is using 3, and they're trying to decide which ones. Now, the one thing that I should tell you, too, is if you're correct in your challenge, you do not lose that challenge. So 2 might be enough because you're going to be challenging pitches that aren't even close. So you might be able to use those challenges several times.
Okay, well, knowing that changes the way I look at this a bit.
Because, Chad, I was going to say 2 or 3 per player a game would be about right.
Well, my argument originally was each player should have his own challenge.
Yeah.
That if you're at the plate and you think the ump is just a complete buffoon, which is more than likely the case, you should be able to challenge it. And if that player wins the challenge, you keep the challenge.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of a team getting 2 or 3 challenges because that's not nearly enough. I mean, on average, how many balls do these umps miss on a nightly basis?
Somewhere between 11 and 20 usually per team, per
Yes.
side. Yeah.
So you're looking at somewhere between 25 to 40 calls a night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not very good.
You're right.
Your 2 to 3 challenges may not be enough to cover all the sins from some of these different umpires who are out there.
Yeah, like I said, though, the good news is some of them are such bad misses that you can challenge it pretty much without fear. You're not going to lose it because it's such a bad call.
Now, in the dugout, will teams have access to the diamond vision? Because if you see it real quick and you know it's clearly out based on the technology, then you could be like, yeah, let's challenge that.
That's a great question. I would guess they won't. They won't have the ability to do that. They're going to make you call the pitch in the same amount of time the umpire has to call it.
So you're going to have to judge it based on your eye.
Yeah.
Which means you don't really know. You think you know, but you're not 100% certain.
And it's theoretically got to come from the hitter, although he'll get signs from the bench on whether or not, because these challenges are valuable. And you can't have your leadoff hitter using 2 in the first inning or you're in trouble.
But most hitters that have been around for a long time, don't they have a pretty good eye to know whether one was way out or it's on or it's close? Like they pretty much know, don't they?
Well, you think so, and then you see guys arguing pitches that are strikes, and they're upset that it was called a strike. But yeah, I think by and large they do. But you'd think the same thing for umpires because they see more pitches a night than hitters do, and they miss them. So,
but it would seem to me like in football or basketball, you usually want to save. It's probably wise to save your challenges for the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But in baseball, that could be different because you may have the bases juiced.
You're right.
Early on in the game, and that could be your good chance to get a rally rolling. You may challenge in the first or second inning based on what you've got going, right?
Yeah, the situation matters a lot. Like if there's a good pitcher on the other team, you got him in trouble in the first inning, boy, you might pull a trigger right then and there and either score more runs or get him out of the game early by making sure that he throws strikes and not getting calls from umpires so there's not strikes. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of strategy that'll be employed in this. I just hope they get more challenges to work from. It still doesn't seem like enough.
Yeah, not with the percentages these guys are rolling with.
Oh, you saw I sent you a couple today that were just, I mean, it's unbelievable. You see them all, and they'll replay the missed calls in order. And you're sitting there looking at these, scroll through, and it's like, how could you be that bad?
Yeah, but the misses, these aren't misses that are like right on the corner.
No.
These are way out of the zone.
Yeah, if they were just missing corner pitches, nobody would be complaining. Those are tough. I mean, you're a human being, those are really tough. But when you miss them that are 2 or 3 inches outside or inside, that's terrible.
Again, one of the things I've never understood is it's been one of the unwritten rules. You're not supposed to argue balls and strikes, right?
Supposedly.
Well, when you suck at your job and your main job is to call balls and strikes, why shouldn't I be able to argue the fact that you suck?
Yeah, Dodger game last night. He didn't want Dave Roberts to go out and argue an interference call. That was the worst call in the big leagues this year. And he kept motioning Roberts, stay back, don't come out and argue. And he went out because he had to. It was a brutal call. It might have cost him the game. And they don't want to hear it. Well, tough. You ought to hear it.
Yeah, you suck.
Yeah. It's terrible.
What's wrong with letting someone know they suck if they really do suck? What's wrong with that?
I don't know. The truth hurts, I guess.
All right, when we come back, good news. We have a Bo Nix update for you.
Yes.
The Broncos are going to play their first preseason game coming up on Sunday. We'll get to Josh Allen, and it appears to be happier times in Buffalo without some of the tension between he and some of the receivers.
Yeah, I think that's true.
All right, we'll get to that. You got the Rip City Drive at Dwight and Chad. Boy, thanks to Shacker for giving me my daily Phil Collins fix. I appreciate that, buddy. Well, you just made a good point, Godfather. Sean Payton, he would love to show the NFL how much of a genius he is again, wouldn't he?
One more time before he heads off to the Hall of Fame or wherever he ends up. But, yeah, I think there's no way to look smarter in that league than to find a quarterback that other people didn't really want.
Yeah. I dropped Russ. I didn't want him. He wasn't my guy.
Yeah.
And then I went out and drafted the one that everyone had question marks about. And, oh, by the way, he's next to Drew Brees. He wants that desperately.
Yeah. Sure does.
These coaches, a lot of these high-level guys, I respect the heck out of them. Egomaniacs.
And to be fair, they have to have that ego. They really do. Without that ego, with everybody taking shots at them all the time, with all the decisions they have to make, I think you need that ego.
Everyone's second-guessing every single thing that you do.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Spotlight's on you 24/7.
All right, well, it's time. It's time for a Bo Nix update.
The Rip City Drive presents the Bo Nix Update.
I watched all the quarterbacks just hoping that one day I could be one.
Here on 620 Rip City Radio.
Him.
And yes, I do love Rupert Holmes.
That's a pretty good song.
Very good song.
And it matches perfectly. I'm him.
All right, let's take a listen to Bo Nix. I've got one classic soundbite that Brian Noe would be proud of that we'll play here in just a moment. But this one here, the Broncos are getting ready for their first preseason game. They're going to be Sunday morning in Indianapolis against the Colts. That kickoff, I think, is at 10. It will be on NFL Network.
Perfect.
So I will be watching Bo Nix on Sunday morning.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yes, and what's going to be a lot of fun is Zach Wilson will get a chance to play, and he'll play against some of those bums for the Colts. He'll probably look good, and people will go crazy. Oh, yeah, he still got it.
Are all three of the quarterbacks planning to? Are they going to use them all? Do you think?
I expect that.
Yeah,
I do, and I expect Bo Nix to play a ton. You need him on the field at least for 2 quarters, getting a good, burn out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if Stidham will play or not. If he's the number 1 right now, maybe you leave him out, and then you play Nix and Wilson. I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out.
Give Meach a half.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea throughout the preseason. But here's Bo Nix. One thing for certain, very good with the media early on in his rookie career.
So, Bo, from a practice like today, they're throwing a lot of pressure looks at you. What do you get out of that in terms of having to make those quick decisions?
Just kind of read and react and go with whatever you say and get back in the film room and watch it and learn from it.
Well, how eager are you for your first preseason reps, and what are you looking to get out of this year?
I'm excited. I'm excited to get out there and play against another defense and just go out there and execute.
How much more importance do you think should possibly be placed on these preseason games in the battle for the starting job versus all these practices out there? Is it equal? Is it more on the games or what?
I'd say they're all pretty important.
What do you feel like you need to showcase in order to win that starting job?
Just be consistent and be myself.
Well, how do you balance, taking shots with risk versus managing that risk to force?
Well, I think, hit them when they're open, make sure you get the right coverage for them, and usually sometimes the forcing comes when you don't get the right look, things like that. So just make sure you get the right look for them and the correct game plan play for the particular defense, and if not, just check it down and go to the next play.
Bo, what's it been like so far working with Corliss?
It's been really good. He's a very talented receiver, been in the league for a while, got a lot of experience. We got great dialect going back and forth, and so he does a good job of when he sees something, he tells me, and then I can do the same. So I feel, very comfortable when he's out there.
PJ Locke told us you were probably studying the safeties and kind of toying with the safeties, so were you toying with the safeties?
I hope every quarterback is, to be honest with you. That's kind of where you are at this stage, and you got to read and react to safeties, and sometimes you can use what they're doing against them.
Can you feel yourself more comfortable out there, taking from the classroom as you just practice it? Can you feel like?
Yeah, I feel much better. It's starting to, be kind of second nature as far as play calling, getting in and out of the huddle and operation and that sort of thing.
Sean said he put the rookies all at the back of the depth chart, but before it came out, there was hubbub on social media, all that, you listed at number 3. Did you kind of notice that commotion or anything like that?
Couldn't care less.
Okay. So is that generally on the depth chart? You don't care how you're listed at this point, I guess, honestly.
Couldn't care less.
Love that. They're trying to bait him into saying something about the depth chart, and he's like, couldn't care less.
Yeah.
That's the way you handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there was a lot of hubbub out there on social media about it.
But he's smart enough to know, too, that it doesn't matter, really. He knows what matters. He's been told what matters. He knows what he has to do.
Go out there and perform.
Yeah. Show that he has command of what he's supposed to do.
Yeah. And my guess is Bo doesn't want to be put out there if he hasn't earned that position.
Right.
He's not that type of player.
I'm sure he holds himself accountable just as much as anybody else does.
One thing that's popped up through the practices over the last week is Bo is catching some of the defenders off guard with his quicks. When he takes off, he's faster than what they think when they see him. And that's a good sign because as a quarterback, you know this in the NFL, he's not going to look to run as a first resort. But in those situations where things break down and he has to take off, he showed it at Oregon. He's got, the speed and the athleticism to be able to make something out of nothing. And it's nice when you can, pull away from a linebacker in a situation where you need to pick up 3 extra yards for the first down. I like that. I like that a lot.
Just so he learns that hook slide, he can get down when he needs to.
Yeah, you don't need to be lowering your shoulder pads.
Yeah.
I was watching an old Elway game last night that popped up in my YouTube recommendations. I forgot in his younger days, he would look to lower his shoulder pads on defenders.
Yeah.
And he had this touchdown run against the Vikings where he had to get through a safety to get to the goal line and score. And he's like, screw it. I'm just going to lower my shoulder pad, run you over. And he did and scored. And I'm thinking, don't do that, man. You get yourself hurt like that. It's important for quarterbacks to the hook slide, learning how to avoid the big hit. It's critical for a quarterback because you got to be available for your teammates.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing. But you can hear from his answers. Doesn't give away too much information, speaks with confidence, and understands what needs to be done. And the other good part, too, is the operation end of things. Getting in the huddle, calling the play, getting out of the huddle, getting your line set, getting everything ready to go and call the play. Boom, snap the ball. You have to be able to do that because they were having issues with that last year with Russ and with Sean. And in the NFL, that time ticks quick between plays. And so it's important for Bo as a young quarterback to be on top of the playbook, understand where his teammates need to be, what he's looking to do, get the play in, call it, get everyone up to the line quickly and make things happen. Because once you jump into that game week 1 up in Seattle against the Seahawks, when you're in front of that crowd with that type of noise, you got to be well-equipped for that type of environment. That's what it's all about. When your teammates have a hard time hearing the snap count or you have to go to a silent snap count, all those different things, the operation's critical.
Yeah.
Because you allow your guys to get off on time. You know how it is. If you're a step behind, defense gets to jump on you, boom, sack, turnover, something like that.
I mentioned this, I think, last week about how much tougher the play calls are in the NFL, too. It's all pretty simple in college, but, man, when you get to the NFL, you're calling out all kinds of things you didn't have to call in college. Where the blockers are going to be and patterns for the receivers and what the running backs are doing. All of those can be separate divisions of your play. It's crazy.
I've heard quarterbacks explain a play call with all the different language, and it still is above my pay grade.
No, it's like,
and
unless
then sometimes,
you know the code, you have no idea what they're talking about.
And then sometimes they're saying things that are a dummy code.
Yeah.
They're putting stuff out that has nothing to do with the play they're going to run, but they're trying to confuse the defense. How do they keep that crap straight? And how do you know that your teammates, your other 10 guys on offense, are going to know exactly what's going on?
Well, then you got to learn the audibles, too. You got to know what to see in order to call that audible, which one to call, et cetera, et cetera. This is like air traffic control.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what it is. And the reality is he's going to make mistakes, but that's why I want him to start from day one because, you go through a rookie year making those type of mistakes, learning through those type of situations. You're just going to be better for it going into year number 2.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're not fooled as easily. You have more confidence in what you're trying to do, the plays you're trying to call. You have a better understanding and grasp of the playbook, and you're more comfortable communicating with your teammates because you have a better handle on things. that's what this season's all about for me, is just stepping back and watching Bo and that whole process. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think people have to understand, too, he's going to make mistakes. That's what he's out there for, is to get mistakes out of his system. It's just really tough job, and he's going to screw some things up. No doubt about it.
I was thinking about this last night. Aside from Bo, I'm very excited to see Caleb Williams perform in the NFL.
Uh-huh.
Watched him in college. I can't believe how ridiculously talented he is. He's got the cool demeanor, great arm strength and mobility. I just want to see how that translates to the NFL. I think it's going to translate just fine, but I can't wait to see him because I admire his talents a great deal.
Yeah.
The arm strength, the mobility, the coolness in which he operates with, his feet and how he keeps them moving and can avoid the big guys. He was one of those guys when I watched him in college. I was like, you can't get anyone on him. You can't tackle him. He always gets away.
Yeah.
Now, in the NFL, it's a little bit different because the guys that are chasing him are bigger, faster, stronger.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to see Caleb Williams. And then for the other quarterbacks, I mean, J.J. McCarthy will play, and I don't think it will take too long. I don't know. We'll see if Michael Penix gets a chance. I just have a feeling if Penix does get a chance that he's going to play well. The more I think about Penix and the more I reflect on what he did at Washington, I'm starting to think that he might be a pretty good NFL player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know how much chance he's going to get first year, but he's going to play eventually.
Yeah. If Kirk Cousins goes down and he gets in there, like I said yesterday, I just think that he's good enough to where he may not relinquish that job. And after the coaches see him play, they might be like, the temptation to continue to play him would be pretty great. One of these guys, I don't know which one, but someone's going to end up being like C.J. Stroud from last year.
Yeah.
Where he just comes out, someone's going to come out and just take the league by fire.
Yeah, as many rookies as there are, and they're all pretty good. One of them is probably going to pop right up.
And the best thing I can say about Stroud last year, Godfather, is that, I mean, one, he made me look dumb because I didn't think he was going to be a good pro, but he didn't look like a rookie quarterback. He just looked like he knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's hard to do.
Yeah, it is.
In the playoffs as well, when he was shredding the Browns defense. A great defense, and he's just torching them.
Yeah. It was amazing.
You know what's crazy is that when we were growing up, even when I was a kid, quarterbacks that were drafted, they mostly did not play right away.
No, the only way they ever did was an injury. You had to hold them out. They had to serve their apprenticeship. That was just always the way you did it.
Yeah, that's not the way it's done now.
No, you're not kidding.
All right, we're going to keep things rolling here on the program. We'll come back and hear from Josh Allen. The Bills, like the Chiefs, under pressure because there's only one acceptable outcome. And Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in football. You got the Rip City Drive. Hey, Godfather, you just made a good point. One of the big talking points for these LeBron lovers is, the 92 Dream Team didn't play nearly as good of players as the team this year.
Yeah, that's garbage. It's really garbage. They beat Serbia today by 4, and Serbia has one Hall of Famer on it. I don't think there's any question. Jokic is a Hall of Famer. In '92, the USA played Croatia, which had 3 Hall of Famers on it, and they beat them by 32. Just so you know, just for your information. And the 3 Hall of Famers were Drazen Petrovic, Tony Kukoc, and Dino Raja. And now Dino Raja played in the NBA, and so did Tony. But you got to remember, they were there later in their careers after they'd busted out huge years in Europe. They were Hall of Fame players. And they were in the Hall of Fame.
So, in other words, all that talk is nonsense.
Well, yeah. Just like
How good is
LeBron
that Diet Coke right now? It looks cold.
Very good. Just like
that tickled your throat right there, didn't
man,
it?
it was good. Yeah, just like LeBron James is really not Captain America, in spite of what Noah Eagle says.
I like Noah Eagle.
I do too. I'm not sure his daddy would have said that though.
I like Noah Eagle. It's not his fault. He's in a tough position,
Yeah. Well, maybe he's represented by Clutch. Who knows?
It could be.
Yeah.
If you and I were doing the games, we'd be crashing. We'd be cracking on LeBron the whole game.
Well, either that.
Hey,
or-
Godfather, look, he thinks the applause is for him.
Yeah.
What a buffoon.
Now, let's get honest now. Either that or we'd have a deal with Clutch and we'd be well fixed. We'd be sitting pretty.
Hey, if Clutch wants to give me some of the Clutch money, I'll say whatever they want about LeBron.
LeBron's the
greatest of all
ever.
time.
Yeah.
MJ got nothing on Bron.
Yeah, pass the pen. I want to sign that check.
Kobe wishes he could have been LeBron. I'll say whatever they want, man.
Happy to be on your team, Clutch Sports.
Hey, man, anything's negotiable in my life. You want me to talk good about LeBron? Give me some of that money, that Clutch money. I think the LeBron Museum's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think the people of Akron need a place to go to feel close to him. I think it's awesome.
Could we do a remote from the LeBron Museum, Clutch?
Rip City Drive on the road in Akron, Ohio.
Yeah, we just dropped by. We were in the neighborhood.
That's good. We were talking about play calling. Let's take a listen to I don't understand it, but let's take a listen to some Peyton Manning.
We're going dice right, ice cream, alert, 654, Jose. Okay, 1-0.
Peyton Manning and the Colts run the NFL's most sophisticated offense.
255.
Each play can be called or changed at the line. That forces the Colts linemen to wait
Chocolate.
and wait until Peyton finally makes up his mind. I wonder if they ever think, just snap the damn ball.
Take it. Brown, Richmond, 96 double. 96 double. Check. Oh, what a flare.
His goal is not to get the perfect play. It's to get out of a bad play.
Hot.
And more times than not, they do that.
Peyton drops, looks, fires, touchdown, Reggie Wayne!
It's just amazing to me. Like when you get up to the line of scrimmage and the quarterback starts talking, it's like how those guys are able to pick up on all the key words and stuff is just mind-boggling.
In those packed stadiums, I even wonder how they even hear them. I mean, you're wearing a football helmet, so it's hard to hear anyway with a helmet on. And now you got to listen above the crowd for him. Omaha! I mean, come on.
Things that kind of made sense, but it has taken off from that.
That's right. Short ox. Richmond, Florida, Buffalo, 97 double. Louisville Soul Train. The purple Buddha Raiders.
It's not about trickery.
Purple Buddha Raiders.
But it does take constant communication because when you do change a pass.
I love that, man. That's masterclass right there at the line of scrimmage, Godfather.
Yeah, and he was really calling the plays at the line, right?
Yeah, he was in control of the offense.
He was his own offensive coordinator, basically.
Yes, and he had his guy Tom Moore they would discuss things, but Peyton had full freedom to do whatever he felt was necessary.
Yeah,
how many coaches give that type of power to their quarterback?
Well, when you got a guy like him, that has to be the best way to do it, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
One team to keep an eye on this year, the Buffalo Bills, and we both love Josh Allen. That guy's a stud.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
think
like him a lot.
Yeah, you think he might be? You'd take him number 2 behind Mahomes right now.
Absolutely would. Yeah, I would.
Well, Nigel's gone. Nigel Diggs is out.
Yeah.
So, and they had their issues, right? As we talked about with wide receivers, they're more of a flamboyant group.
That's one way to put it. Flamboyant.
A me group, because they're reliant upon the quarterback to get them the
Egotistical,
football.
selfish guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just comes with the position they play. It's
Mhm.
different. They need the quarterback to throw them the ball for them to put up numbers.
And they expect every time they're open or even close to open that they should get it.
Well, here is Josh Allen talking about life without Nigel.
Steph's a great player, and what he...
I said Nigel.
Stephon.
I said Nigel because, well, same last name. Well, for some reason, when I think Stephon Diggs, I think Nigel Burton. So there you go. Who played football.
That's a good connection.
Yeah, Nigel Burton, Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
He's talking about Stephon Diggs. Let's take a listen.
Steph's a great player, and what he brought to this team was special. So miss is I don't know if I'd say miss. He was a guy that was reliable. You can look to. He's going to have the juice each and every day. I'm sure he's bringing it over there in Houston. So definitely, you can't say that you don't miss that. But I am very happy with what we got going on here and how hard the guys have been working.
How'd you read that one?
Quarterbacks are great in the way they talk.
Yeah.
They learn how to talk where they say something, but they don't offend anybody. They say the right thing. They don't upset anybody. They give no bulletin board material. He was basically saying he's gone. He's a great player, but life's probably a little easier now around here.
Yeah. I just don't want my receiver throwing confrontation at my quarterback on the sideline.
He was showing him up, I thought, on the sidelines.
That's
He
what
really
I thought.
was.
And I never saw that with Elway through 16 years of football. No one would ever think to go over there and try to show him up on the sideline. That's number 7. You don't do that.
I don't think anybody did it with Aaron Rodgers either, do they?
No, or Tom Brady. There's certain guys, Peyton Manning. Now, you might see the quarterbacks lighten a guy up for not doing the right thing, and there might be a heated discussion, but that's different than someone trying to show up their quarterback.
Yeah, and besides, I'm sorry, but the quarterback's the boss. You don't light up your boss. Your boss lights you up. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's true. But with quarterbacks like you, especially one with the level of play of Josh Allen, like you just better give him the benefit of the doubt there and just let things go. Because everyone on the team is looking to Josh for direction because he's the leader. He's the general of the Buffalo Bills. Mm-hmm. And if you have a great player who is disrespecting the general in that way, that's not going to go well with the team. And it's not going to go well with the quarterback. He's got enough pressure on himself as it is.
Exactly.
He doesn't have to worry just about Stephon Diggs. He's got to worry about everything else on the offense.
Trying to keep 10 other guys happy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, dude, we don't have a run game. They asked me to run the football. I got to be the running back, the quarterback, the general. I got to be the coach on the field. And now you're out here putting up a scene on the sideline because I'm not getting you the football. Well, I'm trying to get you the football. I know you can make plays.
Yeah, I got bigger things to worry about, though. Trying to get this team into the end zone in about 30 seconds,
Yeah, and the part that bothers me about that is that, Josh Allen, like any quarterback, is going to have a bad day occasionally, but those guys, the elite quarterbacks, are so well prepared for every situation that he puts in the time, he puts in the work. If he misses a play or doesn't see you, it's not because he wasn't prepared for it. There's usually a good reason as to why he didn't see you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's possible you weren't as open as you thought you were, too. There might have been a safety just lying in the weeds back there waiting.
Most receivers don't. They're like, dude, I was open.
Yeah.
They always think they're open.
Yeah.
But I like Josh Allen a lot. And who was it? So my buddy Steve, who does some driving for that off-road company, my buddy Steve's retired, but he got bored, so he picked up a part-time job with this excursion company. They pick people up at the different resorts in Las Vegas. They take them outside of the city in the desert, and they take them on essentially dune buggy rides.
They take them out in the desert and just drop them off out there somewhere.
Leave them for dead.
Yeah.
So, but he picked up recently a large human being, someone that you're like, okay, what sport does he play? And so they started talking, and he played football at Wyoming. and he played with Josh Allen. And so they started talking about Josh, and the guy said that Josh Allen was obviously a terrific football player, but he said what made Josh great was he was just one of the guys. Great leader, work ethic was unquestioned, but he did a great job of connecting not just with a couple of the guys, with the entire team. And he said that when you have a player like that who goes out of his way to just be one of the guys and hang out with the guys, even though you know he's different, they like that, man. They respect the heck out of that. He's not looking for special treatment. He just wants to be one of the guys, too.
See, I always thought Josh Allen, too. I love him for this reason, in a way. He made football scouts' lives miserable.
Yeah.
Because all these guys saw him in college. They saw him countless times because he was a physical specimen. He's big and strong. He's got a gun for an arm. But he's wild as hell. In college, he was wild all over the place. And you scout a guy like that, you can't 100% recommend him. You know, you're seeing these things, and you just don't know if they can be corrected or not. But he goes into the pros, and, they were correctable. They got that fixed. He got fixed in the pros. And all of a sudden, he's perennial all-pro. I mean, the guy's one of the best in the business. If it wasn't for a guy named Mahomes, he'd be the best in the business. And he'd probably have a couple of rings by now. But, honestly, I think he makes – guys like that are hard to scout. You just don't know. Some improve, some don't.
Yeah, he's not at the level of John Elway, but he reminds me of John Elway.
Well, he has the same kind of tools, I think.
Yeah, strong
They're not
arm.
as refined. I don't think he wasn't the athlete that I mean, Elway was a legit
Superior.
athlete.
Yeah, baseball, football, now golf. But I think that's the reason why Elway passed on him, was because of the uncertainty with him playing at Wyoming against lesser competition. What we learned is the inaccuracy was largely due to the inferior teammates he had around him, right?
Yeah, and he had some footwork problems that they corrected.
Yeah, that Brian Daboll helped solve.
Exactly. Got his fundamentals in order.
So good coaching. In fact, we saw some slippage this year. The Bills didn't have a great start to the year.
Yeah.
Part of that problem was turnovers at the hands of Josh Allen. Well, when you have Brian Daboll and then he leaves to take a head coaching job and you miss that coaching, that detailed coaching of someone that really got things right for you, I think that was a transition for him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And really, you got to get the guy a running game. And they did about halfway through the season.
They started running the football really well.
They started running the football, and that made a huge difference.
The reason why, I understand the temptation because Josh is such a great athlete and he can run and pick up yards with his legs. I just don't want to expose my franchise quarterback to unnecessary punishment.
No question.
And not only that, but I think that quarterbacks have enough pressure on themselves as it is. I don't like a quarterback out there feeling like he has to make a play on every down. A quarterback's got to know it's like, okay, I'm just going to throw it away. We can live to play another down because we got enough tools to make it happen. But a lot of times, if a quarterback doesn't feel like they have the offense, that they can lean on the run game, that they can use these other tools, that sometimes they try to make a play on every down. And that's when you start to force things. That's when turnovers happen. And I know what's going through his mind, too. And plus, you have a strong arm. You got the cannon arm. You're like, I can just throw it past the defense.
Yeah.
There's probably not a throw he doesn't think he can make. And that's what happened to Elway sometimes. He's like, I'll just fire it past the defense. Well, sometimes you get picked off doing that.
Yeah.
Risky business. And Mahomes, same thing with Mahomes. He gets real cute with the football sometimes with the
he sure does.
Left-handed throws, the
no-look throws.
The no-look throws. Like, that's fine. You can get away with that because you're Mahomes, but that's careless. That type of careless play will lead to turnovers. It just does.
Yeah, over time, you're better off just dumping the ball
defenders
off.
in the NFL are too good. You just can't take unnecessary risks. Most coaches, I would say, right at the top of their list, ball security is number one. And your quarterback can't be turning it over, can't be throwing picks, can't be fumbling the football. You got to protect the football. It's critical because when you don't protect the ball, you put your defense in a bad spot, and you can get behind the eight ball real quick in a game. So we'll see the progress that Josh is able to make. But my guess would be, without the constant conflict with Diggs out there on the field, that Allen's going to find an easier operation because they'll have guys that will listen to the play, do what they're supposed to do, get open, and then he can do what he's supposed to do and find him, get him the ball.
Yeah. I just, he is such, I mean, I don't know too many quarterbacks who could have lived through those seasons he had carrying the ball as often as he did. He took some horrendous hits, and he just
He
gets
got
up.
the crap beat out of him as a rookie, too.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, they exposed him like crazy.
Yeah, that's why Joe Burrow impresses me with his play, because he doesn't have the athleticism of Josh Allen, so he can't run as well. But the footwork in the pocket and his ability to get rid of the football lightning quick, like, that's high-level football play. I like to see that. And with Josh Allen, he's one of those guys that he throws the ball harder than most quarterbacks off his back foot. It's that Jeff George thing where it's like, dude, I can whip it past anyone.
Right, yeah. He's got that 99-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah. And Mahomes has got the same thing, too.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works as a coach, like with Andy Reid. Like, I guess sometimes you got to reel them in, but you don't want to do that too much because you want them to have the flexibility to showcase some of that creativity and playmaking. It's a fine balance when you got a player of that caliber.
Don't you feel like Andy's got such a great relationship with Mahomes that they're almost kidding around all the time, but he's probably laughing and saying, come on, kid. Yeah, enough of that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get
really?
back to business here. Let's go.
What are you,
Kinda
Magic Johnson?
It reminds me, it's like a father-son kind of deal. Well, come on, kiddo. Let's do things right here for a while.
Yeah, like the Bobby Knight story that we share with MJ. Well, Michael, I need you to set a screen, all right?
Well, I'm setting it so fast you don't see it.
Yeah.
Well, do me a favor and slow it down a little bit so I can see it.
That was a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I think the Bills are going to be legit. I would expect them to win the division again. I have no reason to believe that the Bills won't. I don't think the Jets are going to be a factor.
Dolphins?
They're going to be there right there. Yeah. I don't know if they can win a championship, but they're a problem because they got so much talent.
Well, first, it's going to be like last season. First half of the season, when the weather's good, everything's good for them. Then it starts to get a little stormy, rainy, snowy, and that offense of theirs is going to just slow down like the weather.
I agree. The crazy part about the Jets is that their roster is incredibly talented, right?
Their defense looks really good.
Defense is going to be good. They got playmakers. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, they should be able to move the football. The question is, can they overcome the ineptitude of their coaching, their head coach?
And their offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Nathaniel Hackett. What a fraud that guy is.
Yeah, he's got the perfect name because he can't hack it.
No. Gosh. Yeah, some guys have a job because of one guy. He is that guy. Aaron Rodgers, for whatever reason, loves the guy and wants to hang out with him.
Hackett has a benefactor. He has a benefactor. It's amazing, isn't it? He owes him his whole coaching career
His
right
whole
now.
coaching career. And he got paid out as a head coach. Think about how much money he's made because of Aaron Rodgers.
Millions.
Millions. You get a head coaching gig, and then they pay you out because you get
What
fired.
did they pay him in Denver for that one miserable season?
That's a great question.
And what did he have? Probably at least a 4-year contract, I would think. 3 years.
I think it might have been a 4 to 5 year. Hackett. Let's see here. Broncos contract. I'm not sure I want to know the answer to this question.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't. Well, they got the money, though, those people.
A 4-year deal at roughly $4 million per year.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, so he got $12 million to walk away.
Didn't have to coach again the rest of his life.
Utterly a disaster, and yet he walks away with $12 million. And they subtract out whatever he's making from the Jets.
Yeah, who are probably purposely not paying him much so that, he's got the offset and make Denver pay the rest.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. So $16 million total from the Broncos to be a total disaster.
Man, you talk about getting over on somebody. Oh, God. We can only dream of swindling somebody like that.
Hackett's $16 million is comparable to some of the NBA bums that we've seen get paid out over the years. Like $16 million for Hackett to do nothing, aside from embarrass himself in the franchise, is wild.
That's like a Monty Williams coaching contract. Isn't it?
Highest paid coach in Detroit, let go after 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year. He's millions.
I would say that Monty will be smart enough to just walk away, but he won't because these coaches are addicted to coaching.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
All right, high fives coming up next on the Rip City Drive. may play some music from my desktop here. All right, Godfather, you got any high fives you want to hand out?
Yeah, Chad, I've got one ready. I'm going to nominate this guy for the Sports Business Hall of Fame. Your guy, Nathaniel Hackett, getting over on your Broncos to the tune of $16 million for a guy who can't coach his way out of a paper